Welcome to Locked On Golden Knights. The Jack Eichel line strikes again, lifts VGK to a 6-4 win in Salt Lake City last night over the LA Kings.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Welcome to this Friday edition of Locked On Golden Knights. I am Tony Cardasco. He's Chris Golick. We are here in Las Vegas. He is at TD Chris G on Twitter. I am at Tony Dasco. We are at Locked On VGK on Twitter as well. And don't forget about our YouTube channel, Locked On VGK. You got
That's
it all there, Chris?
Right there, Tony. That's a
it
mouthful.
Really was.
Happy Friday.
So let's talk about the presence of Jack Eichel throughout the preseason. He's got 8 points in 3 preseason games. I know it's just preseason. You and I both think that he's going to have a successful season. I think we said something over 90 points, right? 90 and a half, I think we put out there. But in any event, that line is playing very well. And who would have thunk it? I mean, I know all summer you were talking about Eichel and Kessel together on the line. And then Riley Smith, you had Smith, and Smith had a good game. Scored a couple of goals against the Kings last night. And again, it was that line that propelled VGK to a preseason win in Frozen Fury. And the big assist, the big helper from Eichel was when he was in the corner and he just does a little spin and he spots Riley Smith right there in the crease. And then in the crease, we saw Riley Smith just bang it home. So it's been a big preseason for Jack Eichel, and he looks healthier, than he's been in the past. And I like what we see here currently with VGK and that top line.
I just looked away for a second. I wanted to pull up Riley Smith's overall statistics and curious about like some of his goal outputs. So he's achieved 20 goals, 13-14 Boston, 25 with Florida in 15-16. 22 here in 17-18, and he got 27 goals with Vegas in 19-20. For whatever reason, I didn't peg Riley Smith for having those types of goal totals, and the fact that he recently almost had 30 goals, that's a shock to me right there. So where I'm going with this ultimately is I guess now I understand why Riley Smith is up on that line, because he does have the ability to score. And maybe we're going to see him going to another level right now, because he's going to get looks if that line is what breaks camp, which is what it seems like it's going to be. Smith, Eichel, and Kessel. Smith's going to get a lot of looks to score because he's going to have a lot of ice to work with. We know what Eichel's going to do. We know what Kessel can do as far as his assists go, and Riley Smith's just going to have all the space out there and opportunities to snipe and finish and, clean up the trash. So I'm really excited to see how that helps that line. And maybe that's why you have Marchessault. I think Marchessault still goes on the second line. We'll talk about line changes later on, obviously. But I think Marchessault still stays on that second line and gives the scoring punch with Stevenson and Mark Stone. So Eichel's doing what Eichel needs to do. I mean, you said eight points, 3 games, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. 8 points.
It's preseason, fine, whatever, but still, that's what Jack Eichel should do. He should dominate the preseason when he's out there, not necessarily against talent equal to what he can do. Eichel's had a full offseason in Vegas now. He's completely healed with his surgery. Hopefully all of his digits are working just fine, including both of his thumbs. So he's going to be the leader of this team as far as everything on the ice goes. Yes, Mark Stone wears the C and everything, but as far as the leader from a performance-only perspective, Jack Eichel's the man. He has to be the man based on what he's getting paid, based on what trades were made. If you look at the tree of trades that were made, not just the trade with Buffalo, but everything that got VGK to the point to acquire Jack Eichel, we're all in, folks. Bad Vegas poker pun, I get that, but we are all in, and no one is watching the outcome more closely than Kelly McCrimmon, of course.
Yeah, and we think it's going to be a very successful season for Eichel. And I still am concerned about Kessel on that line. There was one pass that went into the crease, and then Kessel kind of fumbled it. And, again, it's just getting that timing down with your line mates. That's what the preseason is all about. We'll talk a little bit more about Mark Stone in the next segment, but they do seem to be more in sync. But again, I'm still concerned about those Eichel passes, right? That, you get your stick on and then you just can't handle and all of that. But Riley Smith was on his way to a very good season last year before he was injured. He was playing pretty well, got off to a very slow start, and then he started to pick it up. And then he got hurt. And then, he signed a new contract over the course of the summer. But I think he's one of those guys that could quietly, have that 20-25 goal season, Chris.
Yeah, so again, I'm looking at his stats last year, 56 games played, 16 goals, 22 assists, 38 points total. And his career high points, 60 points, I want to say. Yeah, 60 points here in Vegas, 17-18. And I think he certainly would have eclipsed that total, probably got somewhere between 63 and 65 points this past season, health, of course, withstanding. So Smith is very important. And, Smith is quiet, right? Outside of the softball game where we saw a much different side of him, Riley Smith is very quiet. You don't necessarily, I don't know, you think Vegas Golden Knights hockey, and I would say Riley Smith is probably 9th or 10th on my list of people that I would list beforehand as far as players I think about, or just, coach, whatever. He's just that quiet, shows up to work, does his thing, kind of avoids the attention outside of the softball game again. Pardon me. Just woke up, still clearing out right now. But, Smith is, I was on the ice till midnight last night. I'm tired, Tony. I'm tired. Smith is going to take things to another level, I think, and maybe a 70-point plus season is in store for him. I mean, is there a shot that Kessel gets, Eichel gets 90-ish points, Smith gets 65 points, and Phil Kessel gets, 55 assists in there? I mean, think about that for a line one right there. I'd be curious to see like what the McDavid line or Ovechkin and his line mates, for comparable stats, but this could be one of the best line ones in all of the NHL from a statistical perspective.
There was a little bit of controversy in last night's game, the big turnaround in the second period, after I think it was Adrian Kempe fired a shot that went off of Logan Thompson, and then it was batted down in the crease by Shea Theodore, and the replays that we saw showed that the puck was across the line, and the game should have stopped. It should have been a goal. We should have had a tie score at that game. I think it would have been tied up, I guess, at 2-2 at that point, or whatever it was, or at 3-3. It should have been tied up at 3-3, and then back the other way. The Golden Knights alertly, since there was no stoppage, no goal horn, nothing, referees didn't signal a goal, they come back the other way. Marchessault goes off of the post, and then Shea Theodore was there to clean it up down the other end. It's a 4-2 game instead of a 3-3 game. So it was pretty interesting, but there is no replay. There were no replay cameras. The facility itself wasn't conducive for hockey. It wasn't a great game. I'll get into more of that later on in WTF when we get to What the Friday. But, again, there was no replay in that game. Big break. And then we saw where Shea Theodore, Chris, was playing kind of coy between periods. It's like, yeah, I don't know what happened there. I just knocked it down, and then we went the other way and scored a goal. Like, okay, sure.
Reminds me of the opening scene in Slapshot.
I mean, just admit it. It's preseason. Nobody cares, right? No one cares.
It's interesting. I don't want to steal too much of your thunder right now. I think I know where you're going with the third segment there. But I guess the question I would have is, you look at the VGK roster last night. It was the closest we're going to have to an opening night roster. I guess it's important to note that the Cotter line, I guess maybe we'll start calling it, Cotter, Waugh, and Kolesar was the only, did not skate last night. and Decision Ron Bjerg, and I forgot who the third person was on that line. So I think that definitely leads us to the fact that Cotter's going to break camp with this team, and depending on what happens with Will Carrier, he
Willie,
might be skating, next Tuesday in LA and Thursday night, obviously in Vegas. And back to the facility, I wonder how the ice conditions were. I've seen, I follow a photographer on Facebook that I know pretty well, and he said the lighting at that arena was worse than City and Lifeguard by a land mile. Not even talking about T-Mobile, obviously. So, I'm curious about the ice conditions and the risk factor and things like that, and just the boards. I can list a million things that could possibly impact the players in a negative way. So good that it seems like we escaped the game. I think both teams without any injuries or anything weird happening in that front. Might be time to reconsider the facilities that get used for these types of games, though.
2 goals on the first 2 shots for the Kings last night. And Alex Pietrangelo has not had a very good preseason, a little bit lazy getting back, and they scored. Fiala scored the first goal. The second one went short side on, I think it was Velarde, went short side on Logan Thompson, and he scored the goal, squeezed it through. So 2 for 2. And I just, the response was yes, it was pretty good for VGK. But I just wonder what it will be like since all the eggs are in the Logan Thompson basket this season. What is it going to be like when they face some adversity when Thompson is in net?
So I think the first thing to note is I think this might be the first time where Cassidy might have kind of not lost it, but yes, it's preseason. We get all that. But after the first period, things weren't looking too hot for the Vegas Golden Knights. And then they come out and take the lead in the third. So I had to assume Cassidy might have done something to try and light a fire to get the team going. So if that happened, good job on Cassidy for saying something to, pardon me, good job on Cassidy for saying something to get the team going, and the fact that they responded. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come as they respond to Cassidy throughout the season. And yeah, what was the second part of that? Was it lines? I'm sorry.
No, we'll
goalies. My apologies. I got you. Yeah, no, I'm what the
little
morning
foggy.
for
You're a little foggy.
The morning.
Okay.
A little more than foggy, but yeah, I hear you. No, so yeah, Logan Thompson, this could be a concern. Not the results of this game is a concern, but yes, Tony, what happens when there is some adversity? Is Adin Hill going to be the hero, right? Is Adin Hill going to be the one to pick up the slack? And he's had a very strange preseason, but at least he's trending the right direction, right? The first game, the overtime game, he just didn't look too good. And then the 7-3 shellacking, of course, where nothing was good about that game. But then, the glass now is half full, making 50 of 53 saves earlier in the week and making some good saves. And if it wasn't for the one play where he tries to clear the puck right up the middle, I don't think we're even talking about anything negative about Adin Hill based on that game. So I would have to assume Hill gets the net tomorrow night. They're in Arizona tomorrow, correct?
No, they're in
or Boise.
They're in Boise tomorrow. They're in Boise.
VGK on tour, folks.
Against Arizona. And
yeah,
the Kings were a home team in Salt Lake City, but I felt as though there might have been more VGK fans there.
They were alluding to that. I saw VGK social media pointing that out as well. And yeah, so yeah, I don't know about these games. Like VGK playing 2 games away from NHL Barnes right as the season's coming. I hope that doesn't become a storyline. I mean, it would be terrible if something happened and whatever, but things are going the right direction back to Adin Hill. I certainly hope he could be the one to carry the mail in the event Logan Thompson needs a longer rest, in the event Logan Thompson gets hurt, in the event LT struggles. And he's a rookie. He's going to struggle at some point. He's going to have, I think, a wonderful year, but there's going to be a 10 or 12 game stretch somewhere along the way, whether it's fatigue setting in or who knows, where someone's going to need to help him out. Adin Hill or, Brossoit, who knows what's going on. That's all of a sudden really quiet again, besides the fact that he's skating a little bit, but we'll see, Tony.
Yeah, coming up next, we're going to be talking about line switches when we return, and it made a difference in last night's game. And Chris was just talking about what did Bruce Cassidy do. We know one thing. We found it on the telecast last night. Bruce Cassidy in the Arizona game the other night, between the first and second periods, had a closed door meeting with the team and kind of jumped on them. But we'll get back to more after this on Locked On Golden Knights. BetOnline.net is your number one source for football betting information this entire season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on each and every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all of your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite games and events will be to check out betonline.net, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to betonline.net or use your mobile device today to learn more about the games and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick here in Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. And we appreciate you all tuning in. And you could find our podcast wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure to subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel, and that is Locked On VGK. So Bruce Cassidy last night, Chris, he mixed up the lines after they were Stevenson, and they had Howden on that line. And we saw where Howden had 3 opportunities. He missed the net twice on breakaways, and he was stoned, I guess, on the third one. And then we saw him score. Why in the world were they doing? They practice shootouts again. And then, of course, he scored the winning goal. So he missed the net twice. Third one was saved. And he added, according to Bruce Cassidy, he felt speed and structure to play around the net. Another big body that was mixing it up in there. So does Bruce Cassidy now, does he stick with these lines? And then, William Karlsson, we were saying in yesterday's show that it was more or less like he was blaming Howden and Amadio for not being able to keep up with him and not moving the puck quickly enough. So what happens from here?
I mean, I guess if we're going to give this a trinkle of hope that it might happen, we know Karlsson and Marchessault do have plenty of history together. I don't see, you joked how many $6 million line 3 centers are out there. How many, $5.5 million left wingers are out there on the third line. I mean, that would be a very expensive line 3.
It would be.
Going from there, I think this wasn't a tip of the hat to Howden to do this change. Don't get me wrong, Howden excelled is what it seems like by all means, and maybe this unlocked another gear for him. But I think this was more maybe Cassidy sending a message to Marchessault and the rest of the veterans. Hey, I'm not afraid to do things. I don't care what your contract is. I don't care how much you make. If you're not producing, I will move you around. Now, I do think a little more of this is preseason, moving players around, trying to make them a bit uncomfortable. And what I mean is, in the regular season, weird things happen, injuries, God knows what's going to happen once the season starts. So I think Cassidy's just spinning the dials a little bit, trying to see what he can get out of the players and how they will respond in moments like this. Howden did a wonderful job responding. As far as how Marchessault did, I didn't hear a whole lot after it happened about that line. So, I don't think it mattered a whole lot. But, kudos to Howden for taking advantage of the moment, for seizing the opportunity. And if this is needed in the regular season, Howden maybe could be someone sneaky to the top 6. You never know.
Yeah, Marchessault scored a goal in the game last night. They were picking up the puck very well. The puck movement, yes, was much better. And we don't know. Again, in a preseason game, it's just hard for me to really judge what's happening there. Mark Stone and Stevenson, it was a really nice pass from pretty much behind the net, a bang play from Stone to Stevenson, And it was Chandler Stevenson putting the puck in the net like he's done so many times before. Just a really nice and nifty pass from the captain behind the net. Bruce Cassidy said that he didn't like the start to the game. They're going to have to get a quicker start, obviously, as they move into the regular season in the neutral zone. Played very sticky in the neutral zone. And he just, again, didn't feel that VGK, as we come down to the wire, was managing the puck well. But once he made those line changes, it seemed to more or less solve itself. So perhaps we will see. And again, that is a great point, Chris. We know now that Bruce Cassidy is not afraid to mix up the lines, to make changes, and to do what he feels is going to make this team successful.
Yeah, I'd be curious to go back and just simply Google Bruce Cassidy line changes and stuff like that. And curious if this is a Bruce Cassidy traits or if this is just simply him trying to spin the dials to get the most out of the VGK. It's working. This is not the first time he's messed with the lines. I noticed it at the game we were at last Friday, and you've just seen reports of it happening, throughout the games as well. So, he's doing what the coach needs to do, right? He's taking chances, he's trying things, and this is good character, right? I think a big concern was the repetition, if you will, that we fell into with DeBoer, right? We were concerned about lack of creativity. The team didn't have a lot of punch. So now with these line changes happening, Marchessault, I think he's got a bit of an ego. He doesn't consider himself a third line player. So if this is going to happen again, I think that's going to ignite a fire under his butt, and he's going to do something. Howden, same breath, now says, "Hey, wait a minute, the coach has faith in me. He gave me a shot in the top six. Now he's going to be excited for that opportunity, and that's going to stick with him." So, Cassidy, so far, I guess give him a passing grade for running a good camp, and I like and appreciate how he's spinning the dials with the lineups, and this is good. This is maybe what VGK has been lacking under the DeBoer era.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and I think there was just better tempo, if you will, once he made those line changes, and he's just so honest, like in those pressers and post games. I can't wait for something to hit the fan where he has to really take.
He's got to be a terrible poker player. He's got no poker face. No poker face.
He does.
I need to get him in my game.
Yeah, yeah. I looked up. I was looking up Bruce Cassidy, and all I found was this line changes you said, and all I found was this statue thing. Jesus. I don't know. It's crazy. Coming up next, we're going to get into it hot and heavy. It's What the Friday coming your way next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. I'm Tony Dasco. He is Chrissy Golicky. I don't know what Cassidy would call you. Chris Golick. He is locked on. We are at Locked On VGK. I don't know what they would call you with this hockey team. And people like
Garley.
Or people liked our little tirade yesterday about the nicknames. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. You can find us wherever you find your podcasts. And of course, our YouTube channel is available as well. Please subscribe. And it is that time of week. Mr. Chris Golick or Golicky. I want to talk on What the Friday. Okay. Can I get started, please? Okay. Undivided attention. I just felt that there was enough of the excuses last night for VGK early on when they were trailing 2-0. First two shots, as we mentioned, went into the net for the LA Kings. Oh, the lighting in the arena wasn't very good. You alluded to it. Okay, it was poor. The ice was rough. It was really rough. Why? And you can explain what this means. And I don't know everything, all the intricacies, but they were mentioning on the broadcast that they hadn't had, the week to 10 days to get that ice in shape and skate over it a bunch of times to where it has some sort of grip or whatever prior to it to break it in. No one cares. No one cares. This is preseason hockey, folks. I don't care. And then guess what? What happened? VGK takes the lead and there's no more issues. The lighting's just fine. Everything's good. The lighting is like the lighting in the access bathroom for the selfies here in Vegas in the nightclub. Suddenly everything's good. So the complaints subside. when VGK is losing, and this has happened before. I just hear so many excuses about the ice. Oh, the ice wasn't good. No, get over it. The ice is just fine for both teams to skate on. All right. One team does not have an advantage over the other. So that is my What the Friday. Please stop with these excuses. Stop it. Just stop it. Quit it. I don't care. They were down 2-0. Both teams had to play in the dark. I put up this little tweet last night with the gif of the eyes in the dark, and that's how they were playing. They couldn't see each other, whatever. But both teams had the same sort of issues. WTF.
So down the street from us, we had this neighbor. He no longer lives in our neighborhood. And he just was grumpy all the time. He was just so grumpy. You know where this is going. He was just so grumpy all the time. He'd drive up and down the street, just stone faced. We'd wave to him. He'd be like, and he just wouldn't make eye contact. There may or may not have been an altercation at some point when he did something dumb. But point being is he just always grumpy all the time, just wasn't happy, get off his lawn. And Tony, my WTF goes to you for the way you keep shaming the poor Silver Knights and their entertainment and the town crier, my friend Lady Elaine. You got to embrace and the Golden Knights to a degree as well. But just yes, there's corniness. Yes, it is over the top. At times they make fun of themselves for the entertainment they put out there. Yes, they have these gold mustard jerseys that shout out to the clowns with locked on San Jose Sharks. I'm still mad at you guys for all that nonsense now that I'm going on my grumpy tirade. We got the gold domes. The Silver Knights wear the chrome domes, and it's all fun. It's all part of the experience. It's a good time. It makes kids laugh. It makes kids smile. But you got grumpy Tony over here crapping on the poor town crier when he comes over and we have a little bit of fun. So, yeah, we're going to – Chris, Allie, you guys around? Chris, Allie?
No.
Chris, no. Allie, you guys here?
Oh, no. This could be bad.
I was going to cue this up and I forgot. They can't hear me. They're in the backyard. Okay. All right. Well, they were going to shame you, so I'll shame Tony. Shame. There it is. Oh, no. There you go, Tony. There you go.
It was about to be a group effort. And at Hi, I'm Age said, what the F was up with the lighting in Utah? It was dark as hell. And it was a little dark. And that is not an arena where they play hockey. And as VGK, Chris, goes to Boise, well, don't the Idaho Steelheads play, I think, in that arena? So I think they'll have sort of a pretty, yeah, exactly. It's minor league hockey. But I think they do have a minor league hockey team there in Idaho. And so at that facility, I believe they're going to be able to at least see the puck, okay, for Saturday's game. We continue with What the Friday. Okay. All right, just follow along at home. The VGK media manipulation continues, and it's in full swing. So on last night's broadcast, right, they talked about Jason Robertson signing that deal with Dallas with the Stars. He was a restricted free agent, and he signed the deal with Dallas, and he signed a pretty nice deal too. So they mentioned that only VGK's Nick Hague and Alex Formenton of the Senators, the only two RFAs that are out there that are unsigned right now. They're the only two restricted free agents that are not signed at this particular moment. Then Dave Gosher, this is the VGK media manipulation to the nth degree, So they get to, there's Sean Durzi, right, from the LA Kings, and Durzi is out there on the ice, and they talk, well, he was a restricted free agent, and he signed for $1.7 million in the offseason. So now we know, as they're tying together this thread, everyone's in the office in VGK land. They're all talking about this. This is at the water cooler each and every day. They all know that the price that the VGK is seeking is in the vicinity of $1.7 million. They're not going to go any higher than that. So that's what the offer is going to be for Hague. He wants more. And again, I'm sure that they're just sitting around the office there talking about how much money VGK wants to pay Nick Hague. Now we know, right? They show their hand. It's in the vicinity of 1.7 because they match it up perfectly. Oh my goodness, was that choreographed at $1.7 million? That's what they're going to try to get for Nick Hague.
Of the
WT stinking F.
Sorry to cut you off on the end there, but
Okay.
of all the things, Tony, that you do point out with VGK media and the 5 o'clock Friday media dump and stuff like that, I like that. I actually like the fact that if that was a very quiet, whether a Gosher was going solo or whether there was an influence there, I like that actually. I do like that whole thing right there. My last WTF, I got one more. This is a small one here, but a little shot at the VGK fans, right? So Aiden Hill has not looked the part. He's been better, but there's been concerns, and the VGK, faithful just flipping the heck out over his early performances, and even in that 50 save effort, still finding more negativity, not just with the goal. And a lot of it is just based on his size, and we keep drawing these comparisons to the injured and slower version of Robin Leonard when we see Aiden Hill out there. Well, folks, last night, Logan Thompson let in 4.5 goals. The half goal being the one that got that never counted on 29 shots or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So, I don't see the message boards lighting up. I don't see all the random Facebook groups that I am a part of just flipping the heck out over Logan Thompson. I get it. Logan Thompson has earned the benefit of the doubt, but folks, Aiden Hill has looked okay, and y'all still dogging him, but Logan Thompson just gets an automatic pass because he has nice hair. I don't know what to say, folks. So VGK fans, WTF, just be fair with the goalies. Be fair with the goalies. If you're going to crap on Aiden Hill for what he does, Logan Thompson needs to get a little bit of negativity too. I know Marc-Andre Fleury could do no wrong no matter what, and Robin Leonard did everything wrong. Is that what the state we're at now, right? Is LT our second coming of Fleury? I don't know. I hope he is, I guess, from a performance perspective. But the fact that y'all are going to give him a pass after last night, and Aiden Hill, God forbid, he lets in 2 goals on 39 shots in tomorrow night's game, y'all going to freak out. So chill out, have fun, but WTF VGK fans.
Okay, I've got one from me and then one from one of our listeners. Mine is just quit it with the nonsense of 200-foot elite players, WTF. And then Joey Howard said, physical players, who are they? Are we going to see our team get hurt again and banged up? And our guy, Joey Howard's been begging, like me, for an enforcer on this VGK team. WTF, Chris, WTF. Where are they going to get physicality from?
Cotter and Colasar and hopefully Braden McNabb.
Your boy McNabb scored a goal. He scored a goal last night.
I joked. McNabb does have a nice little touch sometimes around the net for his size and the fact that he doesn't, get too many opportunities. McNabb does have, for that type of defenseman, he does have a bit of a scoring touch.
Yep. Do you have any more WTFs, or is this a wrap?
Nah, I think this is a wrap. I got to go back to sleep now. I'm tired.
Right.
Actually, folks, I will give a plug here. So again, I do mention about the sports cards and stuff like that. If anyone has time to go to the World Market Center today, I think it starts at noon. There's a massive card show. And if the last sports card show you were at was in your local mall, you're in for a treat, folks, if you got some time today to go down to the World Market Center.
Okay, we've got just one more on the way out. VGK fan 702 said, first of all, the fact that you typed out BGK, was that me? It had to be me, is a big WTF. But in all seriousness, I'm getting annoyed by all the political ads getting in the way of me enjoying the games on TV.
Okay.
Cosign.
Yeah, no, I'll sign on that one too. Like, just folks, like I'm watching YouTube videos and I can't get by with things right now.
I'm a big sports fan. Okay, enough of that. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate it as always. Fun week. You're going to Rebel hockey tonight.
Yeah, well, I got a fun weekend. I'll be at the Rebel game tonight with the family. I guess they're gonna give me a media pass, so I'll check that out and see if I can get some fun for the for the feed over the weekend. Tomorrow we got Las Vegas Lights soccer. That's their final home game of the year. If you haven't checked one of those out down at Cashman, and then Sunday, Tony, we got the first preseason game for the Henderson Silver Knights at the Dollar Loan Center.
Wow, terrific!
We got a good weekend coming up. And next
Yeah.
week, Tony, Thursday is VGK home opener. Friday, Saturday is HSK, their opener in their second game. And then also we got NASCAR back in town next weekend. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun.
That's a crazy weekend. My weekend route will be tonight is UNLV basketball. They have their preview, and then we're doing a viewing party at Twin Peaks here in Vegas for UNLV football. We're doing that again. Tomorrow is Notre Dame BYU playing in football at Allegiant Stadium. So much fun. We don't have anything going on in the city. Sunday, just an NFL day. Just
really quick, we got a couple minutes here. Like 5 years ago, just 5 short years to when VGK makes the entrance to, what we just talked about. I mean, I know NASCAR has been a staple, but everything else we just mentioned is just on a whole nother level right now. And it's amazing to think about. And this maybe kind of goes back to my conversation with Derek England about the fact that we have an AHL themed sports bar in this town. Like there's cities that don't have NHL sports bars, like home cities of home teams where they don't highlight their team. And I mean, Arizona probably, in Glendale and Phoenix and wherever they're playing now is the first one that comes to mind. It's remarkable what's happening in this town from a sports perspective. And NBA is probably might be announced pretty soon. I mean, this is nuts right now.
Yeah. And that Arizona Coyotes team plays at the Mullet Center. So they should have a local mullet bar, right, for them to hang out. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day right here on Locked On Golden Knights. And our podcast is free and available wherever you listen to podcasts. Now make your second listen Locked On NHL. Locked On, don't give me the stink eye. Locked On experts give you the daily 30-minute podcast on all things NHL all year long. For my man, Chris Golick, it's been a pleasure. Fun week. And I'm Tony Cardasco. We will see you next week right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Take care.